It's scary because I'm not gonna lie. Like when I sit down and listen to like people that look like you and I, it's scary having certain conversations because either I find the very selfish are the ones that overly coddle to the point where they create monsters. It's like I'm like, where is the healthy balance? When you look at it, like I'm like, you're a mother, you're a father. These children need balance. They need to understand that, okay, you have to earn, but I'm willing to help. You know, I'm not willing to give when you didn't earn. I watch kids go to school and, you know, she's a dean of students. She understands where I'm going with this. I see children go to school with brand new shoes and brand new clothes on and they failing. And I'm like, this is crazy. I do believe that every school should be like where you at. I think every school should have on uniforms for one. And the reason why I say that is because I think bullying is really heavy in schools that have individuality when it comes to clothes. I do believe that everyone should look the same.
Yeah,
so
more
therefore,
structured.
yes, it's more structured. So they can remove all that extra bullying that comes with not fitting in financially as far as looking. Go ahead, Tyler.
And also, not just bullying, but like self-esteem, insecurities, you know? It's like, it's not a comparison thing of, oh, I look better than you. We all have to interact with each other without looking at clothes, without being happy because you got on Jordans. No, we have on the same outfit, so we have to use our brains. No insecurity.
But and the focus would be more on education. Because growing up, I had to wear uniforms. I went to school in Jamaica. And then when I moved here, when I moved to Brooklyn, it became a thing of who's dressed like this. And if you weren't wearing a certain, you know, back then it was like Tommy Hilfiger and DKNY. You didn't have this on. Let me see your tag. And it was like, what's going on? I came from a culture where it was like, we all dress the same and we had to do the work. Now it's just like, you know what? We got to look fly. Who cares if you fail or not? You look good doing it, you know? So
I ain't gonna lie. In high school, in middle school, for me, it was a fashion show. I'm not gonna lie. We worked, like, I worked all summer just to get school clothes. And I cared about how I was gonna look on the first day. 100%, I'm about to crush them.
But for those who grew up in outside of that culture, do you feel like a lot of parents, that's what they're focused on now? Because I remember telling you that I had a friend that worked for a college and she would say, worked for Nassau Community College, and she would say you would have a lot of these black parents and children come up and they would have to drop classes because they couldn't afford the tuition. But these kids and parents were dressed to the T, like designer, everything. But you can't afford to take, I got to drop this class while I'm taking out, you know, my Louis Vuitton wallet out of my Louis Vuitton bag and my kid is wearing Balenciaga sneakers, but I can't afford the $300 for the credit.
And that's something as a dean, but as a mom, a teen mom, and I was just saying this to Q, that I realized that I don't care about those things. Her academics is first and foremost for me, because as a only parent, people are going to look for her to fall right away. So I don't play that. But I recognize now that she's in middle school, especially in an urban area, I have to kind of shift a little bit and kind of give in. I don't want to, but I have to, because
your raised different.
The kids are mean, right? But at the same notion, when I have to call a parent and say, your child is out of uniform, it's a fight, right? And the thing is, the uniform policy says black sneakers. It didn't say Jordans that are yellow and black, purple and blue, the new this and that. None of that is relevant. And so I have to sometimes sit my students down and say, but your mother bought that, not you. So you clowning somebody else over something that you don't even have a bank account or debit card or anything to purchase it yourself. So I have to always have those what I call humbling conversations to remind them, because, you know, I didn't realize I was bullied until I became an adult. Because it wasn't a term that we knew. We talked about. It was just kids being kids. And it developed my personality to get a little, I'm not tolerating it. And it got to the point where I had to really like rein back. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the topic. It all goes back to home. Parents instill these things into their kids.
100%.
You can't I'm not knocking nobody for living where they live, right? Because sometimes everything's a stepping stone. But if you don't have, you don't have. And we have to get out of this idea that, okay, well, you're only important if you have a pair of Jordans. Michael Jordan doesn't care anything about us.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. And if I'm being honest with you, he's not entitled to. Because if we're not going to do the work, if he gives us the money, are we going to do the right thing with the money to build? No, we're not. So that's why he's not doing that investment. You know, we're always looking for people to come back to the community and save us. But if they gave us the account to say build versus giving us the money, we'll beef over the account, but 100%. We just want the money. So it all goes back to home and what we're teaching our children, what we're instilling in our children, the conversations. You was talking about the clothes, Tyler, but at the end of the day, we have to tell our children we love them. We have to be the first ones to say you are intelligent. We have to now don't get them thinking they are
Albert Einstein.
Because that may not be the case, but tell them who they are first.
100%.
So when they step out into the world and they hear something that doesn't align with what their parent is telling them, as long as it's wholesome.
Yes.
Nurturing and affirmations and belief, we have to do it. And that's why, like, sometimes it's bad parenting because it's not even existent. We have some people, and I'm saying I'm losing it loosely because I don't want to talk at somebody. And I think that's what Shay was saying. Want to make sure we're not talking at somebody.
Yeah.
But we have to stop being our kids' friends.
Yes.
We have to just literally be adults, right? Because at the end of the day, our responsibility is to create and instill productive human beings into the world. And for me, I'm probably going to go back to school to get a doctorate and everything, and all these things, because I don't know if I trust the next generation to carry me, carry the world.
You know something scary, though? The other day, I was in my shop, and one of the ladies, the mother, she came in, and her son was sitting in the shop. She goes, what do you want to eat? And I was like, damn, don't you give him what you want to give him? And you know they taste palates at this point. You know, that's your child, right? So I said, okay, you go get him a burger and fries and call it a day. No. She drives to McDonald's, get him French fries. She drives to Burger King, get him a burger. And then she drives to Wendy's to get him nuggets. Then she comes, sits in front of my shop. And she gave all three of these things to this kid. And when I looked at her, and I said to her, I said, Miss, can I ask you something? She said, what? I said, he's going to be very, very, very hard to satisfy later in life because you've done so much that he's going to feel very entitled to women doing the same exact thing for him. And she said, I disagree. And I said, this is the problem with when a man is telling you how you're trying to create a man. I said, this guy doesn't know no struggle. He's only made it so easy for him. I said, but let me tell you something. She said, what? I said, he's expecting the world to give him the same thing. And then she looked at me and she said, elaborate on that. I said, here's the problem. He's going to feel very entitled. He's going to feel very, very... And if he does do well in school, he will never get the corner office because he's not going to have that self-awareness of himself that I can do this myself. He's going to always look for someone to constantly do it for him. And that's what I see with a lot of men these days. A lot of them, they don't have that sense of urgency because they feel like the world is supposed to be empathetic and sorry for them. And I'm like, but again, the reason why it's true is because of a lot of them come from situations that taught that this is normal. Exactly. Because I'm seeing grown, my mother always said to me, I'm gonna raise you once, so I ain't gotta raise you twice. And when I was younger, I didn't understand what she meant by that. But now that I'm a father, I'm raising my children once, so I don't have to raise them twice. I don't want to coddle my son and teach him that the world is, I'm raising a big black male, right? So understanding that in itself, I have to be mindful. Yes, I may love my son beyond, but the reality is the world is not going to love him the way I love him. So I have to teach him that you have to love you more than I could even love you. Okay. So therefore you want the best for yourself and understanding that you need to learn your own strengths so you can pick yourself up when you do fall, right? As a mother, what do you feel when you go through sometimes as a mother with dealing with that kind of situation?
I mean, we already spoke about this where I told you both of my kids, I definitely took a different approach. I think my oldest, who's going to be 13 on Saturday, I definitely did start off with a soft approach. You know, that was my first child. I was going to baby him. I was going to give him everything that I think, you know, he needed, which was just what I wanted to do. I did the elaborate first birthday party and had everything going. And it just felt like the right thing to do because, you know, whatever I didn't have, he was going to get because I could afford it. So he was entitled to it. He was going to get it. And I quickly realized that his attitude showed me exactly the kind of child I was raising, and that he was entitled to it, and that now he's entitled to everything else. And I definitely kind of saw where I was going with that kind of parenting. I'm not going to say he has completely changed, but things have definitely changed. You know, my second child, who's going to be 9, is the total opposite because he didn't get yes all the time. The no came so quick for him that he just was like, okay, whatever. Like he just knows what it is, you know? So I definitely do agree with that. And I can say that I was guilty of that. That in some sense, I feel like I still am as a mom. There, you know, with Q, I'm not driving to 3 different fast food places. That's a fact. But I do ask my kids sometimes, what do you want to eat? I don't really look at my parents did that. My grandmother did that. Like we all ate something different. Growing up as a woman with like a terrible stomach, I'm in the gastro every 6 months. So I know sometimes people just don't like certain things. So if I'm able to offer you 2 or 3 options and I say out of these 2 or 3, what would you like?
100%.
I'm certainly not going to McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King and all of that. That's crazy.
To complete a meal.
Right. I'm not doing to complete a whole meal for you. We could pick either or. I'll drive to one of them and that's it. But I feel like to say I never coddled, I'd be lying. I'm being very transparent that I did do that with my first. And in some sense, I feel like I still do with certain things where it's like, you know what, if it's easier to just, I don't want to say let them have, but I do reward certain things. Like I think my child goes to school, he's on, he's in the honor society. He's maintained high honor roll for the longest. He's a great athlete. He's supposed to. Like he does a lot of things. So if he comes to me sometimes and says, Mom, can I have this game? And he is supposed to. Okay. But I feel like it's okay to give something for that as a reward, to show it's like you work hard at your job, you get a promotion, you may get a raise. I'm not sending him to school to fail, but the fact that he does well, I want to also reward him because I think encouragement strengthens labor.